Good day, parents. Greetings from Bethany and a warm welcome to our virtual orientation program for the academic year 2021-2022. Now, none of us thought that we'll have to do this virtually, but we are in a situation where face-to-face meeting is not possible at this point of time. And you know the situation that I'm talking about. However, with the blessing of God and the gift of technology, we are still able to interact and conduct this orientation virtually. Dear parents, in this orientation, you'll be able to get some valuable inputs from our panel of speakers. Dr. Robert Anthony Charles, the President of our Bethany Education Board, our Director, Dr. Akash Rayal, our special educators, Mrs. Jennifer Tavares and Mrs. Anaga Pandit. You'll also get some important information and instructions from the HOD of the department, Mrs. Ashima Kalra. So please be present till the end of the program. Thank you and God bless you.
Dear parents, teachers, and my young Bethanites, this is indeed an unusual parent-teacher meeting this year, and it comes in this unusual season of isolation and disease and despair all around. I am aware that a lot of us have lost near and dear ones or come to know of so much of sadness, and we are in the hope and the belief that we will come out of this phase very soon. I'm extremely proud of our young children who adapted so well last year to this sudden change in their entire lives, and more so in their school lives with the online teaching. Along with all of its challenges, the kids have stuck with it. And I'm really also proud of all our teachers and staff who adapted. They took their efforts and their time, and we've seen the year through. I also thank our parents who were active partners in the education of this year. And all of us have seen our ups and downs with the system. And we do hope that we will get back to our usual offline education, where it's not just transferring of information, but our children get back with their friends and for real interaction in groups. There have been many challenges that all of you and all of us have faced in our personal, in our workplaces, and also in the school. My belief is that we will come out of this period together very strong. We know that there is a lot of negative news around us. We know there is now a prediction of a possible third wave. We know that they are predicting that that's the youngsters who will be at risk. Notwithstanding all of this bad news, we know that we have hope as our main weapon. I would encourage each parent and each of our teachers to keep hope as a recurring message in our daily interactions with our kids, in our classes when they start, and even in the years to come, to keep hope at the present in front of their eyes, because no other generation has had this much of bad news bombarding them every day. So I think we hold a sacred duty to light the flame of hope every day for our children, that things will get better. And I do believe that we will get better. So I wish our teachers and parents and our children for the new year, along with the management. And, stay safe. Please take your vaccines. Don't believe the bad news about the vaccines. And let's do what is best for our children, and that will remain Bethany's commitment. Take care.
Good morning, dear parents. At the outset, I want to thank all of you for your unstinted support and cooperation to us throughout this last year when we took up online teaching as a challenge for the first time. Thank you so very much, and we look forward to another year of e learning as they call it. You must be wondering, parents, how do we cope with the lag, the learning lag, if your child has missed out something, the concepts are not clear, how do we cope with that? So, what we've decided is we've planned a bridge course for children who we think may be having a learning lag. So, what we'll do is in this bridge material or bridge sessions, as we call it, we will evaluate all the children, assess all the children, and if we find that there is a lag or there is some math skill or numeracy skill or reading skills which are lacking, or if the child is not comprehending the lesson, what we'll do is in English and maths, we will be assessing them. On the basis of that assessment, the English and the maths teachers will be uh, doling out bridge material in the form of assignments, and they will be taking up children in a group, in a small group, after their online classes. And there will be 8 sessions like these per child per week. So, at the end of the 8 sessions, we will be re evaluating the child again for those concepts that were not clear with the child. So, this is how we've planned our bridge material. My only request to you all is to ensure that your child is punctual, regular to the class, and does all the assignments given by the teachers on time. And we look forward to your cooperation, your support as usual to make our e learning more effective. Thank you and God bless.
Hello, parents. I'm Jennifer Tavares, and I'm a counselor and a special educator at Pledge Academy. I'm also a volunteer at Bethany High for their LEAP program. We bring to you a short presentation on parenting during the second wave. We hope you will find it useful.
Hello, parents. I am Anaga Pandit. I am the school clinical psychologist and a special educator at LEAP. I will. Yes, parents, we have gone through some very tragic losses, some very harrowing experiences in the recent past, and all of it weighs on our hearts and minds, and our children's hearts and minds as well. But we are in this together, and if we are able to follow some of the things that we tell you in this presentation, I think we will be better equipped to deal with the second wave and the aftermaths of the second wave. Let us look at the top 5 challenges that all parents of children young or children older like your kids are facing. It is becoming increasingly difficult for children to focus on the things that they have to do, specifically schoolwork, because the face to face contact is less. Managing their screen time and behavior, the children are being deprived of interacting with their peers to a great extent. Teaching and monitoring them at home, managing their boredom. So it is very difficult for us to manage teenagers when they are locked up in the room and are not able to express themselves freely. Uh, we also have to take into consideration the hormonal changes that are going on through these children at this time. Uh, Along with all of this, your own work, balancing domestic chores as well as parenting duties and work can become very, very challenging. But if we can just follow a few things, we should be able to better deal with the given circumstances. Having a broad routine in place is very important. It will help our children to manage their times in a very effective and engaging manner. It is very, very important for us to have basic rules in place because children of this age are generally wanting to express themselves in ways that they want. They don't want to be told anything. So there is a given set pattern, set expectations laid out, it is easier for us to implement them. Having contracts with consequences is also equally important because when the expectations or the basic rules are not followed, children must know that there are undesirable consequences to it. As equally, it is important for us to have gadget free zones in the house. We are all dependent on technology right now for work, for learning, for getting in touch with our people. But it is also important for our children to understand that there have to be some times where they disconnect with all of these things and bond with the family together. A timetable is essential. We keep reiterating this fact because children require a framework and they work better when they are given certain set frameworks to work within. Okay. It will be very important for us to involve teenagers while or preteens while we are making this timetable because the more their involvement, the more their motivation to follow through will be. We must also keep in mind that different activities must be given time during the day so that we balance out and not spend more time doing one thing. All right. So we could have, you know, very realistic expectations from our children. Please allow them to contribute to the household by giving enough responsibility into household chores. So, age appropriate household chores make a big difference. It teaches children life skills, responsibility, and also reduces the burden on the family. It is important for us to also have realistic expectations from our children. So, after whenever they are doing their assignments or exams, the academic pressure must be reduced. However, we must always and always encourage children to submit their assignments and homeworks on time because that is a part of the learning process. Okay, and we're saying stick to pre-COVID screen time rules in terms of entertainment-related screen time, which must be limited to some extent. Encourage physical activities as much as possible. Cycling, skipping are two examples which will help the children keep safe distance from their peers, but also engage in some amount of physical exercise. Children, it is very important for us to allow our children of this age to interact with their peers because social deprivation is what they are facing right now. So they require that interaction with their peers, and that must be encouraged. And last but not the least, parents, please ask help. Seek out for help. Reach out for help. The school counselor is here to talk to your children if they face any of those stress, anxiety, or anger issues. Jennifer ma'am will now take us through what are the different red flags that we must be alert about. Over to you, Jennifer ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Anaga, for these valuable points to remember during these tough times. Why are these points important? Okay, so we are here to talk to you all so many things, but I personally have a child in class 10 who has to write 2 more exams, board exams, and I have a class 12 child as well who's waiting and waiting to see when the PUC exams will happen. Now, when this year started, when the academic year started last time, we told the children that we don't know what is going to happen. Because when we are in a pandemic, we have a lot of stressors. The impact of the pandemic is huge. We knew that it was going to go in from one wave to another. And I think that it's important for all of you to tell your children that, yes, there should be some study time. But let me tell you, parents, it is not the end of the world. Your children will get through this time in whatever way they should. No one is going to remember the marks. Everyone is only going to remember the pandemic. We are trying to focus in this particular presentation a lot on their mental health, because we are finding a lot of adolescents coming back to us and telling us that they are struggling with their own mental health. Physical health, the children might report to you a lot of physical symptoms and like headaches, backaches, etc. Those are visible symptoms which you will be able to consult a doctor for. However, we would like a word of caution. Since we've been observing some online classes, we would like your children to sit appropriately, have an appropriate posture throughout these classes, because they are still growing. The teenage years, a lot of rapid growth happens, and therefore we would like you to take their sitting posture and gadget use very, very seriously. As I mentioned, their mental health will come to you in all forms of behavior, and that's what we are here to discuss about. We'll go to the next slide, Anaga, where we are going to talk about the red flags for children who are around 10 years and above. If your child is 10 years and above, look out for some of these behavioral changes. Why are we focusing on behavior? Because behavior gives us more information about the child. It tells us if a child is happy or if the child is sad, etc. So the first symptom, which is over here, are frequent unexplained headaches and stomach aches. If your child tries to opt out of online classes and tells you there's a headache or a stomach ache, please be alert that perhaps your child may just be faking it in order to avoid sitting down and paying attention. They rather be asleep in bed. The moment you tell your child, okay, don't attend the class today, it's all right, after half an hour, you'll find your child is absolutely fine. So that's your clue that your child complained, but it was not true headache or it was not a true stomach ache. If you find that your child has significantly been losing weight, if they are involved in some gym program, etc., specifically to lose weight, that's different. But if you find that they're losing a lot of weight, for example, 5% of their body weight is lost over the last 6 months, then or gained over the last 6 months, then that's a big red flag to note. If a child feels sad, hopeless, weepy, or empty, the child will come near you and say they feel hopeless, they feel very sad. I think parents, the time has come to reach out to them, understand that sadness, and don't tell them that, oh, you all have everything in life, why should you feel sad? Okay, because we have cut off their oxygen supply from meeting their friends. I think for peers, that's their biggest sadness that they have, that they can't meet their friends, they can't interact with them, and so on. They may also come to you telling you that I feel very bad, I feel very stupid, I feel I'm hopeless. So these are symptoms which they come and tell you on one end of the extreme. They should also feel good. They should also feel happy about what they're doing. So if you notice that they are always deviating to the negative side of the spectrum and reporting those kind of words, then please do have a chat with them, find out what's going wrong, and if need be, please talk to us. We will be glad to help you all in this journey. The last point on this slide are changes in sleep patterns. Yes, a lot of adolescents and school-age children reported changes in sleeping patterns. They had problems in sleeping. The lockdown created a change in our routine and perhaps created a change in our sleeping pattern. But if your child is not sleeping at all or having only 1 or 2 hours of proper sleep, then please make a note of that as well, so that we could help the child to understand why they are unable to sleep as well as they should. Continuing with the school-age children's symptoms, unprovoked anger or aggression. Many of you might just see it as teenage anger, and you might think that it's okay, let the child be angry. However, Anaga did speak about the hormonal changes. Hormonal changes do bring some ups and downs, but if you find your child snapping at every small thing at home, experts have told us that getting angry all the time for every small thing could be a sign of depression. And that is why please take a note of this. It's important. Don't dismiss. Sometimes we say it's okay for boys to be angry and so on, but do not dismiss unprovoked anger or aggression within your home. The next point, as I've already spoken to you about them not attending school, if they tell you that they don't want to attend school online or offline, you might find them dropping out of some of their favorite activities. They might have been involved in some kind of a sport or something. Even though we have actually been withdrawn them from those activities because of various lockdowns, the child will still show interest. Like, for example, if a child was interested in football, the child might still watch football matches on the school, might still kick a ball around the house. So you have to be alert that, if you feel that they are dropping out of some of these activities. The next point there is withdrawal. We are finding a lot of children who have withdrawn from talking to their own parents because parents perhaps have kept them out of the room because of their own work from home schedules. So they find that the children are not, children find that their parents are not accessible to them. So they will find them completely withdrawing from you. And the last important point here is that since lockdown last year, we've noticed a lot of children who have been running away from their homes because they just can't manage lockdown. I'm reminded of that case in Mangalore where the child hid his friend in the suitcase and took him into his apartment just so that he could have his friend with him. Okay, so keep that in mind about running away. Coming to the adolescence, that means if your child is 8th standard and above, you might notice some of these symptoms from the previous 2 slides, or the other symptoms are you might notice suddenly there's no interest in studying and there's a complete change in their behavior towards studies. A student's job is to learn and to study. And we are not personally not worried about them dropping in their grades in that sense, but definitely if a child who was doing well has suddenly stopped studying, suddenly stopped learning, then that is a big change in behavior. Self-destructive behavior. We don't want to alarm you. However, there are a lot of children who have been talking about suicide and who have been thinking about suicide. And from my personal experience as a counselor, I found that parents don't take it seriously. Talking about suicide and self-destructive behavior or self-harming themselves, that means cutting their hands or cutting their legs, are a cry for help. It's a sign of depression as well. You'll find that these children have difficulties with their relationships because they are unable to manage, since all of a sudden, although I would say this generation is lucky, they're very used to the Instagram mode, etc. However, if you haven't given your child a phone, you might find that they have finding it difficult to even talk to you at home. They're finding it difficult to talk to neighbors and friends in the apartment. The next point is antisocial or delinquent behavior. If you find your child is lying to you, stealing, see, rebellious behavior is normal adolescent behavior. And that's a topic by itself, how to handle. Okay, so don't mix up, don't call a child who's rebelling. We don't call them antisocial or delinquent. We say that these children are displaying symptoms of either stealing something from the home all the time or constantly lying to you about various things. Inattention to appearance, hygiene, or grooming. During this time, children are very, very aware. They keep handling their hair like this. You'll find them in front of every mirror in the house, adjusting their hair, adjusting themselves. So all of a sudden, if you see that this is not happening, then please do take care of finding out why they are lacking in this. Risk behaviors with little thought to consequences. This might be a little less because of lockdown, but otherwise you'll find them taking various risks of, going on the roof, jumping from one terrace to another, something like that, and they don't give thought to what might happen. Extreme sensitivity to rejection or failure. We must teach our children to face failure and rejection, but if they are extremely sensitive to it all the time, then the child doesn't know how to cope. Slowed physical responses or increased physical agitation. Again, if a child was very active and you suddenly see either end of the extreme happening, suddenly the child has slowed down or suddenly the child seems to be all over the place. I think for adolescents, this is a very important point too, for a parent to red flag this. Social isolation. These teenagers are feeling so isolated because they never expected this to happen, especially the older ones who are in 8th, 9th, 10th upwards. They never thought that they would be isolated from their friends. So you'll find them locked up in their rooms. When I ask teenagers, why do you lock yourself up in the room? And their answer is that the moment we open the door to come out, my parents ask me, have I finished studying? What have I studied? How much have you studied? So they are avoiding their parents. They quickly retreat back into their rooms. Okay, so don't mix up. That's not social isolation. That's avoidance. But if they're not coming out of their rooms, not even to eat, they take their dinner plate and go into their rooms. All these are signs of social isolation. The last point there is gadget addiction. If your child is spending too much of time on the gadget and unable to live without it, then we call it a gadget addiction. So if you feel that your child has any of those symptoms, please pause this slide and look at the various email addresses that we've put here. For the Koramangala Middle School Koramangala branch, Ida is the counselor. Her contact details are there. For high school, NIOS and Junior College Koramangala, Elita Persis is the counselor in charge. And the last branch, the other branch which we have is the Sarjapur branch, where Manisha Mata is in charge. Okay, so please note down their email addresses, drop them an email, they will get back to you as soon as possible. Yeah. We come to the last slide of our presentation with a quote. A child needs your love most when he deserves it least. This has been a life-changing quote for me. Whenever my children have misbehaved at home, I have made it a point to tell them I love them more, because that's when they really don't know what to do. Okay, so keep this quote in mind, children, parents. The children are yearning for your love. You might think they're grown up, but they are still yearning for your love. I hope this presentation has helped you. And yes, Anaka?
Yes. So all the best, parents. Thank you. Stay safe and God bless.
Thank you.
Good morning, parents, and welcome to this online orientation. It's funny not being able to see you and talk to you, but I guess that's how it's going to be. And if it's a challenge for me talking to you in this fashion, you can imagine how difficult it's been for the teachers to teach online. All these years, they've just been interacting and having that nice mix of getting questions from the students and talking to them. And I think this year is going to be another year of online teaching and learning. I thank you all for supporting us. We got so many wonderful letters from you all appreciating the teachers. I really do thank you for that, because that is such an encouragement for the staff and the teachers. You know, it's so easy to criticize and to say they didn't do this or they didn't do that, but most of you all have been very kind and appreciative, and I thank you on behalf of our entire teaching staff, all our HODs, right from the BPC and the pre-primary going up to the junior college. I'm just going to leave you with a few thoughts. First and foremost, I want to tell you, we were fortunate that we were able to pay all our staff their salaries last year. Every one of them, from the drivers and the helpers, canteen staff, and our teachers, the admin staff, everybody got their salaries. Thanks to you, most of you who were able to pay their fees. And this year too, I'm going to request you, if you can pay the fees, we would really appreciate it. If there is a genuine problem, do contact Nigel or send us an email and we'll be happy to help. But it's with the fees that we can pay our staff. We put all our capital expenditure on hold. We wanted to revamp the basketball court in the main school, do up the canteen, do other things in the other institutions, but we kept all that on hold because we said people are more important than the building and the infra, and that's what we believe in Bethany. So parents, if you could pay your fees and pay on time, we would really appreciate that. I also want to tell you that there were so many of you, even though the two of you who were working, one of you would adjust and stay back and help the little ones, especially the small ones in the pre-primary department and the primary department. And I guarantee you that this year too, the teachers are working hard so that in June when school starts, they will have something rich and educative even for the smallies. I know that is such a challenge, but I give you my word that they are working hard on it to make it as interesting a year as possible. So parents, please stay safe, look after your children, and we await for that day when they come back to school where we can all celebrate together. I miss those fist bumps and I miss seeing the children. The building is a stone cold building without the little ones running around. So we just wait for those days when they can come back to school. But till that time, I pray that you and your children will stay safe, and I promise you that we will do our best to keep this going and keep the children occupied with not only their studies, but with all the little online activities that are planned for them. And I encourage you to let them take part. I want to leave you with one last thought, and that is I'm going to request you all to be honest and teach your children to be honest. Unfortunately, I've heard in some of the other schools, children resorted to unfair means when it came to doing tests and exams. Just tell them, if they have God on their side, if they work hard, and if they are honest, they will do well finally in life. After all, this is an education for life. It's not just going from one class to the next. So when it comes to tests and exams and taking those papers, let them do it seriously and in all honesty. And I know you parents will support us on that front too. Thank you once again for listening to me, and God bless you all. Look forward to seeing you soon.